Hi, in this tutorial I will show you how to get started with UI5. I will also use the router component of UI5. Let's start Eclipse. I will set my workspace to my local web host. In my case it will be XAMPP. Let's create a SAP UI5 application. Go to File, New, Other, search for SAP. There you will find Application Project. Next, target device will be mobile, and we will check the Create Initial View. Fill in the project name. This will create the first JavaScript view, which I will use as a parent container for my other views. Let's call it app. On the left, you see our generated project with the first view. In our first view, app.view.js, we are going to replace the generated code with the root container of our application, sap.m.app. Set displayblock to true. We do this to embed the other views in this root container. Now we create the first HTML view, which will be embedded to the root container app.view.js. So right-click, select New, Others, then choose View. We select HTML and call this view Overview. On this view we will add a label and a button. This will allow us to navigate to the next page. Let's create an event handler for our button. We will do this in the controller of this view. For this moment, we will just program a simple alert. Let's create a component. It's just a simple JavaScript file. Right-click on Web Content, New, File, JavaScript, and call it component.js. This will be the start of my application. This will also be the place where I will define the routing of my application. In the component.js, we extend the UI component and call it com.tutorial.component. In the config of the router, we will define the type of views, in our case, HTML. We also define the path for our views. In the router, I will define which is the parent component for all the views, which will be the nav container from the app view. Next step is to define our routes. I have to define every URL pattern for every view. We define an URL, a name for the route, and a name of the view which we want to navigate to. We start with defining our first HTML view. We create the init method of our extended component. In this init, we will initialize our router. We also program a destroy function where we will destroy the router handler. Create the create content method. Here I initialize the app view which contains the nav container. Our component.js is ready. Now we initialize our application in the index.html. Change the SDK to the desired UI5 SDK. We define the path of the resources so the application can find all of the views and components. Replace the generated code with an own implementation. Initialize the shell. I add my component.js to the shell. I create a shell in the index file. The shell creates the component. The component initializes the app.view and also has the routing component, which contains the connection between the app.view and the other views. Let's test what we built so far. To find my project on my local host, XAMPP in my case, I right-click on the project, go to Properties, and then I copy the path after htdocs. My local host is started, so now I navigate to the browser. I go to the local host and paste the path I copied. So this is what we built so far. Next, we will create a second HTML view, so we can actually show you some navigation between views by using routing. So create a second view, just like I explained to you previously. Check the HTML radio button. In this view, we will add a back button and a label. We will add the back button in the header of the page. We create our function to navigate back. We use the window.history to navigate back. Define the route for the second view in the component.js. For the URL pattern, we use the second page. In the overview controller, we changed the button event handler. We get the router component and navigate to the second view. For the navigation, we use the name of the route, which is in our case the same name as the view. So we have created a second view with the back button. We've changed the router component in the component.js. And we have changed the event handler in the controller of the first HTML view. So we can now navigate from the first view to the second view and back. We hope you found it helpful and wish you good luck. Down below you find the SCN link to the blog and the source we used for this tutorial.